September 1953, a great month for Maccabi. South Africa sent its team of 63 to the World Jewish Games in Israel. They flew to Lydda via Nairobi and returned triumphant with 2 team trophies and 16 gold medals. Maccabi camp in Tel Aviv, a thrilling experience for our team of athletes, swimmers, a water polo team, tennis players, a fencer, boxers, wrestlers, weightlifters, and footballers. For the first time ever, a Jewish bowls team left to play abroad, a great achievement for South African Maccabi. Ramat Gan Stadium, a colorful blaze of patriotic fervor. Honor is done to Israel's blue and white ensign. Outstanding Jewish sportsmen and women had come from all corners of the globe, by air, sea and land, bringing a message of brotherhood and sportsmanship to the Jewish nation in its historic homeland. These were glorious days of national pageantry and patriotic splendor. The wail of sirens and the roar of motorcycles heralds the arrival of the President of the State of Israel. A nation waits for its first citizen to open the 4th Maccabiah. An inspiring moment as the crowded assembly stands solemnly for the national anthem. Maccabi leaders from the 4 corners of the Jewish world meet the dignified head of the Jewish state, Yitzhak Ben-Zvi. Leading the parade, the march past of Maccabi's own flag bearers with a traditional bodyguard of fencers. This was Maccabi's Day in Israel. The sports teams march past, led by the United States team from abroad. 105 in all, and looking a little bizarre in their red trousers and blue blazers. The colors were wrong, but the girls were right. Smartest on parade was the British team, led by Angela Buxton, Whiteman Cup tennis player. South Africa's flag bearers, Solly Yach from Cape Town and Butch Daniels from Johannesburg, in the van of men and women for whom this would long remain a great and impressive hour. The colorful array continued. First of many South American teams, the Argentine. This pretty girl carries the Belgian flag. Brazil, first time at the Maccabiah from down Rio way. Denmark, a stalwart Maccabi supporter from Europe. A three-man team from India, exotic with their blue turbans. Cyclists and athletes from Holland. Mexicanos, weightlifter, reporter, and chaperone. Finland, as tall as the pines from the far north. The Chileans and the French. Another Commonwealth team from Canada. And Rhodesia, making its debut with its bowls rink and bringing up the rear the Swedes and the Swiss. In the formal opening, the President stressed the lasting value of such gatherings of Jewish youth. In Olympic tradition, pigeons are released to herald the glad tidings of sport and peace through Israel's furthest towns and settlements. From Modin, birthplace of the Maccabees, a torch is carried to light the Maccabi flame, a link with our glorious past. The last runner brings in the torch. The flame is rekindled. The flags dip in salute, and in fervent prayer, the spirit of the Maccabees lives again. Athletics was first on the program, and our Springboks excelled themselves. One of the first heats in the sprints was won by Rhodesia's Alan Gerson. Good luck, Alan, from South Africa's manager, Philip Herbstein. And while the races are run, other events are completed. Lanky Wit student Julian Fisher, our interest in the high jump, won a bronze medal for third place. Two gold medals were won by athletic captain Dave Sandler, who brought off a magnificent sprint double with runs like this. Dave is on the far side. Springbok sprinter and national champion, Dave is an athlete who uses his head, and his great performances brought the South African colours to the place of honour on the winner's dais. Second to Dave in the 100 metres was the Australian on his right, and the American third. Star of the athletics was a Johannesburg schoolteacher, Mike Rubinowitz, here seen winning the 10,000 metres. Mike Rubinowitz thus repeated his own 1950 performance by winning both the long-distance events. He established one new record, and Mike has followed the fast 1935 footsteps of Jock Hurwitz. Cape Town's Rhoda Abel chats to Olympic and world record shot putter Harry O'Brien, a Maccabi guest star. American might in the front and Tel Aviv power behind him. Ramat Gan, where Maccabi history was made. Bowls in Hebrew is kaduret, a new word for an old game. The clubhouse of the Ramat Gan Bowling Club. The chairman is a former South African, Max Spitz. Bowls was introduced to Israel by South African immigrants. They knew that this sociable Anglo-Saxon game would prove an important recreation in Israel. It does not make great demands on space. It is leisurely and friendly. Although it calls for skill of a high order, a keen eye, a steady hand, and general fitness, it is well suited to a people who burn their energies in their daily round. the call went out to South Africa, and Houghton's Dave Milne supervised the laying of this green in Ramat Gan. It was officially opened by the British ambassador a few days before it served as the venue for the first ever Maccabi Bowls tournament. Prime mover behind this bowls pilgrimage was Houghton's skipper, Alf Blumberg. Here seen chasing his wood. Ably assisted by committees of clubs throughout the Union and Rhodesia, Alf organized Maccabi Bowls trials before the final teams were selected. Bowlers from Cape Town, East London, Bulawayo, Salisbury, Krugersdorp and Johannesburg were sent to play a historic English game on a green in Israel, tended by, you guessed it, an Irishman. From a South African and Rhodesian point of view, the inclusion of bowls on the official Maccabi program and the presentation of a trophy for bowls by the Ramat Gan municipality represented the realization of a Maccabi dream. South African wrestlers did well, considering their small contingent. Outstanding wrestler was once again Springbok flyweight Louis Bays, sparring here with teammate Harry Lutz. Bays has been included in South Africa's 1954 Empire Games team for Vancouver. He also wore the green and gold at Helsinki. Another wrestler who won a title was Max Ordman, sparring with Noel Kenny, the lad in the red socks. Trainer and coach to the team of wrestlers, boxers and weightlifters was Julius Gordon, himself a wrestler who can still do his stuff as he shows Cape Townian Ike Shiner. No vest for Ike in the Israeli heat. South Africa's weightlifters won the coveted team trophy with 3 firsts, and miniature boxer Ginger Friedman, lifted by Harris Targer, gave the team an extra lift with a few points he won for them in a surprise late entry. Anything Targer can do, Lionel Trope can do at least as well. No wonder. Lionel was team captain. Girls, this he-man from Uitenhage is Morris Roop. He too won a title. Well done, weightlifters. We're certainly proud you won this handsome trophy. South Africa's boxers captured 3 titles in the thrilling finals at Ramat Gan's huge circus. South Africans dominated the challenge to Israel's toughest, drawn mostly from the new Sephardi immigrants and former Marbarot. Sparring on the lawns of the new park near the Maccabi camp are 2 promising young boxers from Johannesburg, Baldwin Zimmerman and Simi Milks. Trainer Julius Gordon gave seasoned Maccabi middleweight champion Les Hetz a fast workout, which kept Hetz in fighting trim for his rousing final, in which he easily outfought his game Israeli challenger. Colorful character in the Maccabi ring was Ginger Friedman, flyweight champion. Tennis is the queen of sport in Israel. Heroes of Maccabi tournaments were highly ranked Americans Grant Golden and Pablo Eisenberg, and Springbok Davis Cup player Sid Levy partnered by national junior champion Neville Katzen. Big crowds were treated to a splendid exhibition of powerful tennis in the doubles final between the top Americans and the top South Africans. Promising youngsters were also on view, including Arnie Port and Dickie Penn of South Africa, and Israel's 16-year-old David Mann. Pretty Angela Buxton of England won the ladies' title. She learnt her tennis at Sea Point. On their way to the final, Levy and Katzen eliminated a pair from Britain and another American couple. But Golden carried too many guns, and with solid support from Eisenberg, won the day for Uncle Sam in 3 straight sets. Some paid to see the tennis, others didn't. The stadium in the heart of the city was crowded for the singles final between Levy and Golden. Golden was favourite to win, but Levy began at a cracking pace and won the first set easily. The spectators were quick to appreciate the struggle in the torrid Tel Aviv sun, and the applause was enthusiastic for the defensive tactics employed by Levy against the mercurial American, who eventually won in 4 sets full of thrills and good tennis. The entire South African team came to cheer Sid, who put up a fine show. Levy won the Israel title after the Maccabiah. The Bat Galim Bars in Haifa turned out to be South Africa's happiest hunting ground. Apart from the diving title won by Israel's Ranan, who recently won the title at the Asian Games, South Africans ruled the waves. Outstanding swimmer of them all was our own Mickey Bonin, who won 2 gold medals, a silver and a bronze award, and smashed 2 records. He was generally voted Sportsman of the 4th Maccabiah, and here he is winning the 400 meters. South Africa's water polo team was superb. Rigorously coached throughout the bitter Rond winter, they were superlatively fit and keen to retain the trophy they won in 1950. And this they did in grand style, earning praise from veteran Maccabi officials. Their novel war cry was a feature of the swimming sports, and they soon endeared themselves to the crowds of spectators. They swamped England 17 goals to 1, and in this match against Austria also had things all their own way. Irresistible in attack and in defense, they scored 8 goals and gave the willing Austrians a lesson in tactics and skill. With brilliant passing and pattern play, they astonished spectators and opponents alike, who learned to recognize them in and out of the water, and rated their matches the best they had ever seen. These South Africans overwhelmed Israel in the final, and the trophy was theirs. After the official Maccabi swimming program, Cape Town's Manfred Salomon won the swim across the Kinneret, with Joburg's Aubrey Kaplan second, both in record time. South Africa's footballers had earned a great name for themselves in 1950, and their appearance in the 1953 matches aroused considerable interest. Many of this 1953 team, including the captain, Harry Miller, a fully fledged international, had been in the 1950 pioneering team, which narrowly lost to Israel in a thrill-packed final. Others were Blum, Tucker, Abrams, and Schultz. Israel's soccer had improved, and in the final at Jaffa, there was only one team in it, and their jerseys were blue, not green and gold. In the opening stages, the South Africans were making a game of it, but the superior finish of the Israelis soon took its toll, and South Africa's defense, Tucker, Abrams, and Miller in particular, worked hard to keep Israel's sharpshooters out of range. Israel's star goalie, Chodorov, also had his bit to do, and as always, he did it well. South Africa just could not break the barrier and score. Ex-Natal forward, Titsi Schultz, nearly did the trick from a corner, but the Israelis were showing the form which was to bring them great credit on their South African tour. Many of the players in this final were included in the Israel touring team. The idea of bringing the Israelis to southern Africa was born at the 1950 Maccabi Games, and after the 1953 Games, final plans were made, so that by the end of the year, the South African Football Association had formally invited a team to come from Israel. At Jaffa Stadium, the Israelis gave our goalie a pounding, but Cape Town's Marcus was always on his guard. This little man is Jerry Bet-Halevi, who came to South Africa as coach to the Israel touring team. The Israel-South African final finished on a rather tame note, especially after rousing qualifying matches against England, and for the first time, a team from the United States. After the sports program, and prior to the closing ceremony, luxurious El Al buses took the South African team on a pilgrimage to Ashkelon. Ashkelon, the major effort in Israel by South African jury, gave our team a grand welcome. Its mayor, Harry Senabend, and many of its prominent citizens hail from South Africa. Two city councillors, Maltz of Johannesburg, and Sanabend of Ashkelon inspect the sign on the main road of Israel's newest garden city. A South African invention, harnessing the sun for domestic water heating. Ashkelon, situated on the Mediterranean, revels in the mildest and healthiest climate of all Israel. No heat waves, humsins, or snowstorms here. You would never guess from the serene way in which its 30,000 residents go about their business and leisure that Ashkelon is not only a near neighbor to ancient Migdal, but also to Egyptian Gaza. In the center of the city are its world-famous ruins. The impact of Greek and Roman civilizations on this focal point of Western history. Today's chapter from history is one of progress, the reconstruction of a land and the renaissance of a people. The South African team voted their day in Ashkelon the happiest of their stay in Israel, and there were many reasons why, including an alfresco lunch at the seaside and bright, charming company. Former South African Sammy Levine was host and told the South African team how good it was to have them. The tourists were fascinated by the detailed explanation on each classical statue given by Dr. Sanabend. In contrast to modern Ashkelon, these antiquities, still in a wonderful state of preservation, are relics of yesteryears. The afternoon ended on a high note at Ashkelon's new sports field. A commemorative flag was raised by the town's oldest resident. And then by Dave Sandler for Maccabi. For 10 wonderful days, the flame of the Maccabi torch had burned brightly. For 10 thrill-packed days, the spotlight of the world had been focused on Israel. The closing ceremony began with the playing of Israel's national anthem. The key figure at the closing was outgoing Premier David Ben-Gurion, who exhorted the visiting sportsmen to learn Hebrew and to return again to the homeland. An entire nation was saying, Lehitraot. South Africa collected 2 team trophies, and Rhodesia won. But brighter than the trophies, the memory of these Israel folk dances will sparkle in the minds of all those who watched them on that great day. The brilliant costumes, gay scarves, lilting, carefree movements exhilarated their cousins from the Gola. This is the heart and the voice of young Israel, lifted in dance and song, portrayed in a kaleidoscope of color by Sabras and Olim, who have won gold medals at international folk dancing contests. The spirit of young Israel was demonstrated by these adept young gymnasts, whose beautifully timed precision exercises told more than words could about the discipline and enthusiasm of a new generation, searching for peace, but Shomrim forever, on guard against the dangers that may beset the future. These slim and pretty eurythmic experts from the Maccabi clubs expressed in motion the grace and idealism of Israel's young womanhood, aspiring to build a free nation. Highlight of the closing ceremony was this equestrian display by Israel's mounted police. Strange to say, beauty won the day in the jumping events, for a girl rider finished with most points. In the gathering dusk of a late summer afternoon, the members of teams from 17 countries, all aglow with pride rekindled and traditions reawakened, prepared for the final march past. In the poignant dipping of the flags, it was not only Maccabi which sensed the sadness of the hour. All Israel had learned to recognize this marvel, the reunion of scattered Jewry in its own homeland, even if only for such a brief span of days. And all Israel had come to say, Lechu b'shalom, go in peace. For the 60 South Africans, it had been a wonderful, unforgettable experience. They would return to their homes with a stronger love for Zion, with lasting ties in Israel, with crowded memories, and with visionary plans for their future and their children's future. The Rhodesians would take back to Bulawayo and Salisbury, in the far-flung outposts of world Jewry, personal messages from Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, Haifa, and the unforgettable settlements of the Emek, Galil, and Negev. The flame dies till Israel's skies glow again with the burning flame of Maccabi strength and sporting fame.